So, most of you know I have two sons. They're 31 and 28 now. And when the first one was born, I had no idea what I was doing. Like we all don't. But my mother told me, Maggie, you have good instincts, just don't worry about it and do what comes naturally. She grew up in India, and she said, I like the way that the people in Pakistan did it. She said, you just ignore the child for the first 5 years and let it run wild. And that would probably work best. But they don't let you do that here. And anyway, I didn't want to do it that way. And she didn't do it that way, by the way. She just was dreaming of that from her parents, I think. So my kids were little, and I was working as a therapist, and I heard from grown folks all the time that their parents were disappointed in them. And I said, well, what do you think they wanted from you? And they would say, they just wanted me to be perfect, and I'm not. And then I would talk to parents and say, what do you want from your kids? And they would say, I just want them to be happy. And I thought, boy, that's a disconnect right there. So I decided I was going to write a job description for my sons. I thought, how would I want them to turn out? What if they turned out like this? I would feel like I had done a good job. And so my then husband and I talked, and we came up with a list. We decided we wanted the children to be kind and strong and brave, joyful, useful, loving, honest, and healthy. And so we made that into a prayer, and we would say, dear God, bless everybody we knew, and then make us kind and strong and brave, joyful, useful, loving, and honest, amen, and healthy, amen. The healthy was a later addition when we realized we'd left out the body completely. And so I think my sons got the idea that these were their goals. And so when we do a baby dedication in this congregation, which we're planning to do on the 25th of this month, I asked the parents to come up with a list of what they would like for their children to become, a job description for their child, if you will, and they read it as part of the baby dedication. We bring our children to this community so that they'll be taught the values of Unitarian Universalism. We have 7 principles that we teach the children, and we have 5 values of this congregation, which are transcendence, to connect with wonder and awe at the unity of life; community, to connect with joy, sorrow, and service with those whose lives we touch; compassion, to treat ourselves and others with love; courage, to live lives of honesty, vulnerability, and beauty; transformation, to pursue the growth that changes our lives and heals our world. So really, from Sunday morning to all the classes for children and adults, all of it is about faith development and the transfer of values, the deepening of values in ourselves, the transfer of values to our children and grandchildren, and in order to allow us to know our Unitarian Universalist values, teach them, and act on them out in the world. So, religious education is important. We call it faith development here. We are talking at 1 o'clock about our changing vision for religious education, for faith development. We need ideas from everyone. This is not just a parent job. This is a whole church job to transfer our values. Love, like a carefully loaded ship, transfers the treasure from generation to generation. This is the job of all of us, whether we have children and grandchildren or not. So we want to begin our search for the new director of faith development by having some kind of a visioning session about what we would like our program to look like. So one of the things that transfers our values to the children is our faith development classes, but the main thing is you all. Whether you have children, you have grandchildren, you have kids that you hang around with, nieces or nephews or whatever kind of biological or chosen family you have, if you're around kids, here's the deal. As Stephen Sondheim said, they are listening and they're watching. They know what you practice and they know what you preach, and they see the differences. Yeah. The thing that used to make parents turn pale in my therapy office was when I said, so you know that your kids are going to turn out pretty much like you. That seemed to horrify a lot of people, because they were seeing their children as these shining vessels of possibility, and really they're going to grow up to be pretty regular human beings, and probably not paragons of gorgeousness, wealth, and intelligence, although maybe. If you are. And so the main thing is, you have to ask yourself as a parent or a grandparent, will I be happy if these kids turn out pretty much like me? So we listen to the kids, we spend time on them rather than only money. They're watching you like TV with the sound turned down, so they watch what you do. They know you really well. They can give you all your lectures by the time they're 10. When my sons started rolling their eyes when I would start with the lectures, I would say, fine, you give me the lecture. And they would. I was like, oh, okay, you know that already. Sometimes they would be smart alecky about it. Like they would say, I know, Mom. You want us to not smoke pot until we're in love. That's not what I said. My older son was standing by the couch one day, and I just said, I'm trying to figure out how you're going to drive me crazy as a teenager, because like if you tried to wear mascara and stuff like that, it wouldn't really bother me that much. I'm just trying to use my imagination. He said, oh, I know exactly how I would do it. I said, how? He said, I'd start listening to Rush Limbaugh and date a girl whose dad's in the Klan. Which we were living in South Carolina was a possibility. You nailed it, I said. So you ask yourself as a parent or grandparent as you make decisions, is this the decision I would want my kid to make or my grandkid to make if they were in this same situation? Are these the values I'm living that I would want them to live? It's important to raise them to be people you would like to hang out with. It's important to, I learned everything I know about child raising from this dog training book. Called How to Be Your Dog's Best Friend. But it talked about catching them when they do it right instead of hammering them when they do it wrong. Just basic good sense techniques. And it said that having no limits feels like abandonment. I thought, oh, okay. The way we transfer our values to them is that we make little rituals with them. We light a candle before dinner. We say what we're grateful for. Or we go for night walks. We have special food on certain days. Or we have a secret family Tuesdays are lucky narrative. Or we have a special seed day. They'll have ideas about little rituals if you ask. All the authors that I read recommend having a little time each day to talk about the day. There's a book called The Gift of Faith by Julie Newyar, and she says, list 3 things every day, the same things. Something that you're thankful for, something from the day that you're sorry for, and something you intend for tomorrow. If you don't have children in your life, or even if you do, I'm going to talk during the announcements about another possibility of how to transfer your values from generation to generation. But let me end this with a quotation from Robert Coles, a great educator. So it is, we connect with one another, move in and out of one another's lives, teach and heal and affirm one another across space and time. All of us wanderers, explorers, adventurers, stragglers, and ramblers, sometimes tramps or vagabonds, even fugitives, but now and then pilgrims. As children, as parents, as old ones about to take that final step to enter that territory whose character none of us here knows. Yet how young we are when we start wondering about it all, the nature of the journey, and of the final destination. These are things we want to learn to talk to our children about and our grandchildren, our nieces and nephews, the kids we hang out with.